Hello, hello, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Coach Kev here. It was another wild day in the stock market. We gapped up, I believe it was like 5% again this morning, and then we actually closed red on the day. So it was kind of a crazy day. We had a little bit of weird news with like Boris Johnson getting hospitalized, and I don't think that really had a big effect on the market. There's a little bit of stuff going on with the stimulus campaign guys. Trump's kind of kicked the new advisor off already, so been some speed bumps there that may have some impact on investors' confidence. I'm really kind of still thinking the long weekend's going to be the drawdown here going into next week. I would expect to kind of close this gap we made on Monday before going into the weekend and just make the range like we talked about yesterday. So let's put a couple of trend lines on here to try and capture this range. It's going to be a big range, especially for the SPY. But I mean, we broke out of here and came right back down, and this is where we've been testing. So I'd expect us to break back down here and make a support down around the 240 mark, and then bounce around till about earnings. I kind of expect the markets to be pretty flat. The Fed's done everything they can. We've got a ton of bad news on Corona. Everybody's, like I keep saying, is waiting on actual data coming from these companies. They're waiting for guidance on how they're going to move forward, how they're going to cope with the changing scope of social life. I mean, this was one of those impacts that's going to change, and whether you realize it or not now, it's going to change our lives fundamentally. How people work, how they go out to restaurants, it's going to impact the health industry. Like, everything is going to change in one way or another. It may be small, and there's going to be some growing pains, but that's going to create some opportunities. So I heard today that the next few earnings are going to be life-changing, and I agree with that 100%. So I want to set up for that, but I don't want to get ahead of myself and get too excited. So I want to watch. I know the bank earnings are coming in first. So I'm going to keep an eye on the banks. I'm going to watch, of course, Bank of America. And they look a lot like the market. They just kind of made this range. They've consolidated up here, but they've got a big price gap below. Momentum's not really on their side. So, we get a longer time frame. We could see a bounce out of the banks with all the small business stuff and trying to push dollars through the banks, and that would be good for the market. I mean, we could see Saber was talking about seeing a bounce way up on the SPY, and I can show you a chart here in a couple minutes that he put up. But it's going to start here, and we're going to see how the small business loans and everything's moving through the banks. And if that's going well, I'd expect us to have a little relief rally. And I'm sure people have been buying down here because historically it's buy the dip. So we should see some relief in the market. I don't expect too much. Possibly close this gap up here, 25.30. I would not expect over 29 on the banks, and banks move slow. Bank of America, if you know, moves really slow. This kind of looks like a inverse head and shoulders here. See if we can make it happen. That's not what I want. Where are you? So let's Fix his left shoulder. It's a little sloppy. Yeah. If we're going to see a bounce out of the banks or out of Bank of America, this doesn't look like a terrible play, actually. We're going to measure it out, our price targets. If premiums aren't way too crazy, that's a 20% move on Bank of America. That's huge. So if we get a 20% upside move from here, targets will be looking just up past that phantom midline. So 27, I might shop some 27 calls on Bank of America tomorrow. If you want to follow along with this play and all the rest of them, make sure to like, subscribe to the video, because we do these watch lists every night. And I am in a Discord server that I am on all market hours of the day. So if you want to join me trading, you'll find me there. There's a link tagged below. And the next thing I'm really watching is how Apple, Facebook are going to wish I could type today, come out of this. You know, Apple's already had a gap. Everything's kind of looking like the market right now. Just kind of expect us, at least for the time being, coming into next week, is just to make a range. The important thing will be to watch if we make support up above this kind of danger zone. We'll call this the COVID zone down here. If we stay up above here, I expect us to start working on a recovery up to where we really started dropping. I mean, we could put a fib on here and get an extension and get real close probably. We're going to hit probably a 168, which would be up in the 308 zone for Apple. So, you know, that doesn't sound out of the question. We'll probably hit some heavy resistance up right in the 300 area if we start wicking up there. Yeah, if we bring it down. 300 will be my targets for the Apple bounce. But we'll see coming into earnings. I mean, I expect the sell-off into the weekend. So if that happens tomorrow, I may shop some Apples. If we find support down here at this 2-hour phantom line, I'll be looking for some calls, some 300 calls. And you don't want to pay too much for them because the market has bounced a lot the last couple of days. So premiums are going to be probably still pretty high, even if we get a big drop. So tomorrow I may not make the move on them. I might wait coming into the weekend, put a little deposit on Friday if I'm, feeling crazy. And Monday, we'll see how everything kind of plays out. But over the next couple of days, watching things develop, I'm expecting that pullback and setting everything up into earnings. Apple is on the 4th, so the 15th contracts are good, but you know, I'd be looking even further out than that. The March 15th, the May 15th, I'd be looking past that to the 22nd, the 29th. If you can get something like that, that's going to be with some time. Time's always your friend, as we like to say. So the dollar, as we've been watching this play, if everything kind of pulls back over the weekend or into the weekend, expect the dollar to bounce up here to the 618 and find some support over the 101. If we find this coming into next week or find support up here coming into the end of the month, that UUP play is going to look really good. So if you guys have been following, I've been building that play and it's getting pretty big. So I'm really putting my money where my mouth is on this one. And we'll see how it plays out. It's a risky play, so don't play it. None of this is financial advice. Don't play any of this stuff on screen. I'm just cataloging it for you guys to see for educational purposes only. So thank you guys very much for not playing and liking the education below. I also like Tesla coming into earnings. I don't think they're going to be able to continue the guidance that they have with everything slowing down. I want them for long term in a bad way. Uh, I like them around the 300 valuation mark, and I picked up a couple today at the 500 mark just to have because I had none in the portfolio. So I I finally broke down and I bought a couple of them. I plan to buy a lot more, and I'll probably average down if we come down here. But if Elon pulls an Elon and decides to launch this thing back to 1,000, I've got my hand in the cookie jar. So, and I'm part of the story. That's what means the most to me. I'm going to be in Tesla for 10 years with these shares. So I'm not really worried about where I paid for them today. Also looking, we've been keeping an eye on shop. It's showing some weakness still, even with the bounce. It was the first one to kind of fill that gap today. If we go back to the 45, and it gapped right up, hit that phantom midline, and boom, right back down. So I'm expecting shop. We're still got that put position of the May 15th, and shop I think is like a fourth too. I need to go to a longer time frame. No, it's not on trading view at the moment. So that's interesting. I'll have to figure that out. You guys get in, post it on the comments for me, or see me in the Discord, and I'll have figured it out by then. But shop filled the gap this morning first, and then it just kind of hung out here down by this low. So I'm expecting it to be the first one to fill this gap, and then probably lead on the next bounce, because I do expect us to get a relief bounce to continue the roller coaster down. I keep saying that in these things it's gonna take time. We're gonna have to come back up here and test some of these highs, shake off some of this before we start seeing the real data and the real economic effects and the real change of how this pandemic has really affected us. So keeping an eye on quite a few things. We got a couple plays. I have this crazy off the wall natural gas play based on straight technicals. I posted this in the Discord and asked George if I was a crazy man, because I've only seen this happen 3 times, and it's like 200% return every time. We get a phantom weekly signal, and we're getting it now with a nice big descending wedge that we just broke out of. So I've got, you can buy these, so this is natural gas. NG1 would be UNG is the ticker, the ETF you can trade this with, and you can buy these contracts for really cheap. So I've got a bag of these real cheap. If we get a natural gas squeeze, this thing can move like insane amounts. So this is a little YOLO play that I've got sprinkled in the background. If any of you degenerate technical guys want to look at this and prove me wrong, or the fundamental guys really want to give it to me on why I shouldn't be long on nat gas, let's hear it. I'm here to learn stuff. So let's keep the conversation going. It's been fun. If you guys don't know, I mentioned at the beginning of the video, but we have a Discord. Join below, like the video. I will be back tomorrow with another watch list. We only made, I forgot, we made that Coke play, which was good. We're still in that. It bounced a little bit. I think we're about 50% on the Coke play. And then I made a SPY put at the end of the day, which was super risky. But it worked out. So if you guys want to keep up with all those, I've got them posted in the Discord, and I can't wait to see you there in the morning. And then if you guys don't see me there, you'll see me back on the watch list tomorrow. So have a good night, guys. Peace.